and my red hot honey sauce for just $5.
Good morning, America. President Trump facing overseas tests as Russia retaliates for those U.S. sanctions. And overnight, U.S. bombers warn North Korea as President Trump tries to rally key allies after that missile launch. All this as the new chief of staff starts this morning to reboot the White House after the latest shakeup.
Terror takedown. Authorities arresting 4 suspects accused of trying to bring down an Australian airliner, reportedly planning to build a toxic bomb filled with deadly poison gas. Now screenings intensifying. What it means for security here at home.
Airport outrage. The tense confrontation caught on camera. A flight attendant throws a punch at a passenger with a baby in his arms. What started the brawl? The investigation now underway.
In the incredible rescue, firefighters swooping in, using a ladder truck to save a driver and his dog, stuck in their car as dry land turned into this terrifying flood.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, America. We hope you had a good weekend. That was some rescue.
Absolutely. Great rescue. Those flash floods, they came on quickly in Colorado, and some good Samaritans also jumped in to help with the rescue.
Yeah, and Ginger's going to have the very latest on that in just a bit. Also this morning, we are following new developments out of Washington. Overnight, President Trump spoke with Japan's prime minister about the response to escalating tensions with North Korea in the wake of that missile launch.
Tensions also growing with Russia. President Putin has retaliated against new U.S. sanctions, ordering the U.S. to cut 755 members of their diplomatic staff in Russia. And this comes as President Trump's new chief of staff, retired General John Kelly, the Secretary of Homeland Security, starts his new role as White House chief of staff this morning. He replaces Reince Priebus, who was forced out last Friday.
And we're going to have much more on that in just a moment. But first, we want to get right to the U.S. response to North Korea's missile test. It's most powerful yet that experts worry could reach major U.S. cities. Our chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, has the very latest on this. Martha, good morning.
Good morning, Amy. There is no question this is one of the most serious challenges the Trump administration is facing. North Korea is making far greater progress on its missile program than officials ever imagined. Overnight, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declaring that the U.S. and Japan fully agreed that they needed to take further action following a phone call with President Trump. That phone call after the latest military provocation by North Korea. Their second test of an intercontinental ballistic missile in the past month, traveling farther than any missile they have ever launched. The North Korean ICBM blasted 2,300 miles straight into space, but experts fear that North Korea could angle the missile to potentially travel as far as Washington, D.C. or New York. U.S. bombers conducting a joint exercise with South Korea and Japan in response to that ICBM launch, flying over the Korean peninsula in a 10-hour mission. The U.S. also conducting a previously scheduled test of the THAAD missile defense system, the Pentagon video showing a test missile being detected and intercepted.
People have been warning about the North Korean ICBM for 20 years. They've been barking wolf about this. Well, the wolf is at the door. This is a very real threat to the United States.
Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, tweeting that North Korea's continuing provocations require an international solution. Done talking about North Korea, China is aware they must act. Japan and South Korea must increase pressure. Not only a U.S. problem, it will require an international solution. President Trump also weighing in on Twitter, blaming China, saying they do nothing for us with North Korea and, quote, we will no longer allow this to continue. Amy?
Yeah, Martha, so a lot of tough talk, a lot of tough tweets from the administration. But what about the U.S. being any closer to using a military option here?
Well, you know, Amy, a military option is always on the table, and certainly if we were directly threatened, we would no doubt take action. But the fear with any kind of, say, preemptive strike is that the response from North Korea could be devastating to our allies in the region. So for now, the president is trying increasing diplomatic and economic pressure. But as you know, Amy, many before him have tried that as well.
All right, Martha, thanks so much. We appreciate it, George.
Amy, the White House also facing escalating tensions with Russia. President Putin has responded to new U.S. sanctions by forcing drastic reductions in U.S. embassy staff. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has the latest on that. And Cecilia, Putin is retaliating even before President Trump has signed that sanctions legislation.
Yeah, this is a direct retaliation for those sanctions. Vladimir Putin appeared on Russian state TV yesterday to say that that there will be an expulsion of hundreds of U.S. diplomatic personnel in that country. We're talking about more than 700 people here. That would cut the embassy staff down to just 455 people. That's the same number of Russian personnel working in this country. Moscow also seized 2 U.S. diplomatic properties in Russia. Russia is saying, hey, look, we will respond in kind here. Now, we know that these sanctions were payback for Russia's election meddling. We also know that the president was not happy about them. He'd been critical about this legislation, George, but he is expected to sign it at some point soon.
And to see a fresh start at the White House this morning, the new White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, being sworn in this morning at the White House after the president fired Reince Priebus late Friday afternoon.
What a week it was, George. So, yes, John Kelly gets sworn in this morning. He is expected to then attend his first cabinet meeting as chief of staff. But look, George, the big question heading into this week for this West Week, can a new chief of staff be the one to bring some calm to the chaos that is still enveloping this West Wing here, George? And
we know there have been a lot of leaks. The president has been enraged by leaks out of the White House, also by the government more generally. And the attorney general is embattled attorney general, expected to take action on that this week.
Well, exactly, George. Embattled Attorney General Jeff Sessions has an active investigation into leaks. We are told that we could hear a result, at least an update on that investigation at some point soon. But look, we know this is going to also be one of task number 1 for John Kelly coming in, looking into the problem of leaks here in Washington, specifically to this White House, George.
Okay, let's get more on this now. Thank you, Cecilia, from our chief political analyst, Matthew Dowd. And Matthew, John Kelly, what a job he has ahead of him right now, coming off last week, the collapse of the health care plan for President Trump, rebuffed by his Joint Chiefs of Staff over that transgender ban. The White House basically seeming to sort of fall apart towards the end of the week. The big question on the table, what kind of a difference can a new Chief of Staff make?
Well, you're right, George. He comes in and probably after the worst week of Donald Trump's presidency in this. We'll have to wait and see, but I actually don't think it's going to make much difference at all. And it's as if you're changing the lieutenant and you still have Captain Queeg leading the cane boat on this, and it's a new lieutenant is not going to change the direction of the boat in this, and I think that's what he's fundamentally going to face. General Kelly still has the same person in charge of the ship, and I don't think it's going to go in any different direction.
Perhaps one small sign of control so far this morning, at least no tweets from President Trump. But he's got crises on so many fronts right now. We just saw those twin threats from Russia and China and North Korea right now. The president also at odds now with his own party, not only on health care, but on a range of issues.
George, I think we have not seen a Congress assert its authority and rebuke a president like this on a foreign policy concern since 1986, when the Congress overrode Reagan's veto of the anti-apartheid bill on South Africa. We have not seen a rebuke like this. It's as if the Congress has decided the president is a child and they're going to put the valuables on a higher shelf and put covers on the outlets so he can't harm himself or the country. That's what this vote, and that's what this seems like, the sanctions bill that they passed, is a rebuke to the president.
They are also sending strong warnings to the president about taking any action against the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
Exactly, and I think that's a red line for this Congress. That's a red line for the Republicans in this Congress. We saw a few peel off in the health care bill. If he was to fire Jeff Sessions, I think that would be a fundamental difference for the president and this Congress.
Okay, Matt Dowd, thanks very much, Amy.
All right, and now to those new chilling details on those terror arrests in Australia. 4 men taken into custody, reportedly planning to release a deadly toxic gas to take down a passenger plane. Security, understandably, at airports, they're now stepping up. ABC's James Longman is tracking the latest now from London. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Amy. It looks like this could have been a devastating terrorist attack, and unlike so many of the more improvised random killing we've seen in recent months, this time there was a plan. This morning, airports across Australia on high alert after a plot to take down a plane is foiled.
There has been a major joint counter-terrorism operation to disrupt a terrorist plot to bring down an aeroplane.
5 Sydney homes raided by police, 4 men arrested. Local sources say 2 sons of Lebanese descent. They are yet to be charged.
We do believe it is Islamic-inspired Terrorism?
Details scarce, but one local newspaper with chilling details. A toxic gas possibly being prepared to kill or immobilize everyone on board. Sources telling ABC News American intelligence officials are closely monitoring the case because of suspected communications between the alleged plotters and ISIS. The US Department of Homeland Security says they are assisting Australian investigators and have taken extraordinary steps to protect flights bound for the United States. All this comes just days after the TSA announced new security measures across US airports, citing an increased threat to airport security. Any electronic item bigger than a cell phone will need to come out of your bag at the screening area. George?
Okay, James, thanks. Let's get more on this now from our military analyst, Stephen Gaynor. And Steve, we know that al-Qaeda and ISIS have been focused on planes as a top target for more than a decade right now. But this is a different kind of a threat. How would it work?
That's a good question, George. It is. It's actually unique. We've never seen this before. So apparently the Australian police seized something like a meat mincer or meat grinder about the size of a bread loaf. So you would think, is this a binary weapon? Is it two chemicals that would get mixed together, which is very complex? Is it sort of a gas canister? Hard to say. And it would also have to be something really big to affect the whole airplane. Remember that the air conditioning on every airplane recirculates the air about every 3 minutes. You know, the pilots could do something like dump the cabin pressure or drop the oxygen masks. So I'm not sure how far this would have gone, but it's certainly chilling that ISIS and al-Qaeda continue to be obsessed with bringing down airplanes.
And it shows insight into their thinking. Well, we're focused on electronics, on those computers, on some kind of an explosive set off in that way. They're moving in a different direction.
Exactly. So it's sort of this technological tit for tat. You know, we know that they're trying to get different kinds of laptop bombs that can get by our screening machines, and so they're trying something else here. So they're going to continue to work and find innovative ways to bring down airplanes or affect the general flying public.
Is this kind of threat something you'd heard about before, or is this brand new?
This is brand new. I look back and I couldn't find anything that has to do with gas, and so it just shows you how determined they are to bring down an airplane and get around screening procedures.
Like you say, it's chilling. Steve Gaynor, thank you very much. Amy?
All right, well, an investigation is now underway after an airport worker punched a passenger. A photo posted online shows the worker attacking the man in front of all those other passengers, and if you look closely, you can see that passenger was holding his baby. This happened as the EasyJet passengers were leaving Nice, France, going to London after a 13-hour delay. Eyewitnesses say the two were arguing, and the passenger may have tried to film the worker. EasyJet says it's concerned to see the photo, adding that the worker is not one of its employees. He works for the airport. I would say that is a bit concerning.
I'll say, boy, that is some punch right there. Okay, now we're moving on to a prison break in Alabama. 12 inmates escaped overnight. 11 have now been caught, but law enforcement officials are warning residents to stay indoors. ABC's Diane Macedo tracking all the latest. Good morning, Diane.
George, good morning to you. So officers are still searching for one of those dozen inmates that escaped from a high-security correctional facility outside Birmingham, Alabama. Now, this happened last night around 6:30 p.m. Multiple law enforcement agencies are now on the hunt, and even some private citizens are getting involved. This morning, a manhunt is on for this prisoner, one of a dozen inmates who escaped overnight from a high-security center outside Birmingham, Alabama. The other 11 have been found overnight and brought back to prison. Residents are on edge after being ordered to stay inside and turn on all their outside lights. The crimes of the Dirty Dozen range from resisting arrest to drug possession to attempted murder. The Walker County Sheriff's Office first reported the inmates missing on their Facebook page. By midnight, 8 of the escapees had been found. The Walker County Jail, built in 1998, only holds about 250 prisoners. Neighboring police forces joined in the hunt, with several local residents tweeting they would shoot the men on sight. And we don't have many details about the escape at this point, but of course the big question is, where is this guy? The other big question is how this group got out. Right now, 12 people out of 250 roughly that are kept at that facility. So a very big question that investigators for sure will be answering as soon as they find this inmate.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. And there's another mystery we turn to now, one of the country's biggest tourist attractions. People visiting Niagara Falls say they were shocked when they saw the smelly black water bubbling up near the falls. The inky blob, you see it there, growing for hours over the weekend, catching business owners, even city officials off guard. Well, it turns out that discolored water was legal discharge from the local wastewater treatment plant. The sewage discharge apparently is done periodically during the year, but here's a suggestion. Maybe they don't do it during the height of the tourist season so that people don't have to see
turn
it
off the
and smell
satellites.
it. Yeah, right. I don't want to see that, but anyway, maybe they'll make a change.
Oh boy, that's not what you want to see when you're a tourist.
Happy Monday.
And you know, tourists are also facing problems on North Carolina's Outer Banks. Thousands forced to evacuate after a massive power outage that officials now say could take up to 2 weeks to fix. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is on the Outer Banks with more, and good morning to you, Eva.
Michael, this area without power now for 5 days. Tourists told to get out, forced to go home. You can see deputies have set up a roadblock here behind me to make sure people know these barrier islands are closed. This morning, a popular vacation destination, now a ghost town.
I think this is the only gas station that has power.
It's pretty disappointing. I mean, we had another day left. We wanted to be on the beach.
50,000 vacationers forced to evacuate North Carolina's Outer Banks. The governor declaring a state of emergency after an accident knocked out the main source of power for 2 entire islands. Only residents allowed to stay behind, living off diesel generators.
It has been very hot and our food's spoiled and very uncomfortable.
The nightmare started Thursday. Construction crews working on a new bridge made a mishap, driving a steel casing through all 3 underground transmission lines to the area, killing power, forcing businesses to shut down.
This is peak season, so every day that we're not able to do normal business, we're losing thousands of dollars.
The electric company now saying the power will be fully restored in a week or 2. But business owners say the damage is done.
If it's 1 week, we might be able to save the summer. If it's 3 weeks, it's going to be devastation for this island.
Now they are allowing construction crews and residents onto the islands. There are generators that have been brought in, but officials are asking people to be mindful and conserve energy. Michael?
All right, thank you, Eva, and hopefully they're rushing because, as she said, they want to save their summer.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. We turn now to New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who's involved in another not-so-fan-friendly moment at a baseball game. Take a look, Christie getting in the face of a Chicago Cubs fan in Milwaukee after that man accused the governor of being a hypocrite. Christie apparently screaming, "You're a big shot," before storming off. This comes just a few weeks after Christie was booed when he caught that foul ball at a New York Mets game. And, of course, this month, the governor was also seen lounging on a beach closed to the public during the state budget showdown. It's been a bit of a tough summer for Chris
Christie. A very
Christie.
tough summer.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ginger now. More on that water rescue.
We love to share a positive story coming out of the flash flood and monsoon season in the west. This is actually in southwestern Colorado, west of Pueblo, southwest of Colorado Springs. You can see the man and his dog being rescued there. The dog's legs flailing. Everybody's okay. This is a great story because everybody gets out of it. 1.5 inches of rain in just an hour. The car was sitting there in a dry riverbed, and quickly it filled with water. That could happen again today. Flash flood threat goes from Albuquerque through southwest Kansas. And this morning, a brand new tropical depression has just formed. There's a tropical storm watch for Tampa Bay. You could see a widespread 3 to 6 inches of rain. This tropical depression will pass Florida and looks like it'll stay that way. Select Cities brought to you now by Walmart.
And a very good morning, meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. After a cool start, warming nicely, gorgeous day, 84 or so by the time we head to the middle of the afternoon. Late this afternoon, 87. Look at this, near total sunshine, and without humidity in the air, it's just going to feel divine out there, so enjoy. Big picture, not much happening around here outside. In fact, the next day or two, things are calm. As far as temperatures, we are seeing some heat start to bubble up, but for today, comfortable at 87 here today, a little warmer as we head through tomorrow.
And coming up here, a prominent American lawyer shot on vacation with his family during a robbery in a popular Caribbean spot. How to stay safe if you're traveling this summer.
And the top chef battle in court with the popular host says she was threatened with when her car pulled up to a shoot.
And the case of the shrinking airline seat. How much leg room are you really losing on flights, and what can you do about it? Maybe the FAA can help.
The Glass Castle is a memoir about my childhood and my family.